Morning, everyone. Good morning. Welcome coming out on this bad weather morning, but thank you. What a great turnout. Very exciting day, very special announcement to make this morning. My name's Mike Reschke. I'm the chairman, CEO of the Prime Group, a company I founded, believe it or not, 42 years ago. We've been developing, investing, and building downtown Chicago for over 4 decades, and we keep at it and keep committed, in part because we love this city. I'd like to recognize the public officials that are here this morning, starting with Mayor Brandon Johnson. Thank you, Mayor. Deputy Mayor Kenya Merritt. Chief Operating Officer John Robinson. Housing Commissioner LaSalle Casanadra. Planning Commissioner Sierra Boatwright. And of course, our alderman from downtown, Alderman Brendan Riley. Alderman Bill Conway. And Alderman Lamont Robinson. We're here today for 2 important reasons. First, we're here to celebrate LaSalle Street and the downtown community and its importance and vibrancy to the city of Chicago. You know, Chicago is the 3rd largest GDP in the United States. LaSalle Street is the center of our financial district, and it's the center of our historic district as well. It's probably the most beautiful street, I think, in Chicago. I might be a bit biased, but trust me. There's no other street in the United States that has as many historic landmarks in a 7-block area from the Board of Trade at Jackson to Wacker Drive on the north. It's not a quarter of buildings. It really is a veritable museum of architecture, a museum of world-class landmark structures that reflect the history and culture of our city. Also today, we're here, more importantly, to talk about housing, inclusive housing for all of the citizens of Chicago, and the importance of that housing for the continued vibrancy and success of our downtown area. Downtown Chicago is the 2nd most concentrated city in the United States. Why? In large part because for 150 years, the downtown area has been served by one of the world's greatest mass transit systems. It's a mass transit system that holds the downtown together. It's what caused it to grow and survive and sustain itself, and it's an asset that we should treasure and always preserve. I tell everybody all the time that there's only 2 world-class cities in the United States, New York and Chicago. We can argue about which one's the number 1, which one's the number 2, but we all know who we're going to vote for. But you can't be a world-class city without world-class public transit and a world-class downtown community. But today, in spite of all the architectural marvels we have and all the economic activity focused and centered on downtown Chicago, we have a shortage of housing, both market rate, affordable, and workplace housing. And today, you're going to learn more about a new public-private initiative, a partnership between the private sector and the city of Chicago to stimulate the development of housing in the LaSalle Street corridor and the downtown area to add that 24/7 vibrancy every day for people to live, everyone from Chicago, to live, work, and play. This partnership is just not about renovating buildings. It's about building dream and opportunity for all of the citizens of Chicago. I'd like to extend my deepest gratitude to Mayor Johnson and his staff and all the other public officials today who have stand behind this program and kept it alive for the benefit of all the citizens of the city. At this time, I'd like to introduce our Deputy Mayor of our great city, Kanya Merritt.
Thanks so much, Mike, and thank you for hosting us today. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Thank you all so much for being here today. As Deputy Mayor of Business and Neighborhood Development, it's so exciting to join you for this announcement that will bring new life to our central business district and lead the way towards building a downtown corridor that works not just for some, but for everyone. I want to thank our downtown business community, from the dedicated leadership and board members of organizations like World Business Chicago, Chicago Loop Alliance, MagMal, our small businesses, and most importantly, our cultural institutions. I'd like to give them a round of applause. We are so appreciative of your unwavering commitment to our city's growth and our vitality, which is instrumental in shaping our collective and inclusive vision for our future. And so by investing in transformative initiatives like the ones that we'll talk about today, we are not only revitalizing our downtown cityscape, but we are reaffirming our commitment to economic growth, job creation, housing, and the quality of life for all Chicagoans. These investments aim to enhance the vibrancy and accessibility of our downtown area, creating a more dynamic and inviting space for our residents, for our workers, for our visitors, for our businesses. And so we're not stopping there. We are working to make it easier for projects that bring affordability and vibrancy in all of our neighborhoods, not just downtown, to be successful. And that's why, shortly later this week, we will share our report on process improvements as directed by Mayor Johnson's executive order requiring 14 city departments to streamline the approval process on housing and commercial developments citywide. This action item is a report. A report will come out later this week that will enable us to accelerate our housing and economic development processes so we can make more announcements like the one we're doing today and deliver on the mayor's vision of building the housing, businesses, and neighborhoods that all Chicagoans deserve. And so it's important. It's so important that all of you all here today, as partners and collaborators, make this a reality. Investing in our downtown is investing in a better, stronger, safer Chicago for everyone across our great city. And today's announcement really drives that vision home. And so with that, I'd like to introduce our mayor, Mayor Brandon Johnson.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you to our Deputy Mayor, Kenya Merritt, for that introduction. And good morning, everyone. I'm so excited to be here with you all today. I just want to dissolve all rumors. I will not be moving downtown Chicago despite how affordable it is. So I'm going to stay in Austin, and we can debate whether Chicago Avenue is also an historic avenue. But it really is great to be joined by individuals who help make the city of Chicago work. And that's our alders, Robinson, Conway, and Riley. Thank you all for being here today. So if you notice on this side of the stage, you have our Commissioner Boatwright, Constaneda, Deputy Mayor Kenya Merritt, our Budget Director, Annette Guzman. I mentioned to Quentin, we had to invite a couple of guys just to make it balance. But I hope it does reflect, you know, the value and the beauty of the city of Chicago. It's really the people of Chicago and the diversity of our city that makes us the greatest freaking city in the world. And so today, as we gather today to celebrate Chicago's historic and vibrant downtown neighborhood and to announce the 4 new adaptive reuse projects that will formally be proposed for city assistance this spring, I do want to acknowledge too that we have strong partners, particularly within labor, and I'm grateful for President Jeannie Castrop. You'll hear from her later, but thank you, Madam President, for your leadership and what it means to have a workforce that has the ability to not only work in the community, but to live in the community in which they work in. And so these projects, individually, each of these projects is a step towards the mixed-use revitalization of the Central Business District. Collectively, these projects are it's a full-blown march into an inclusive and vibrant future for our downtown. Our Central Business District is a global economic and cultural engine. Its impact extends to all of our neighborhoods and including the suburbs. So shout out to the few of you who snuck in today from the suburbs. We know you want to live in Chicago, come on. But like many cities, we are in the process of recovering from the impact of the pandemic, resulting in vacancies, particularly our storefronts and our offices. And additionally, evolving conditions in workplaces and retail are changing. It's changing what it means to be a shopper and a worker. We have to respond to these changes. As a city, we have to do it in a creative and collaborative way. Our adaptive reuse projects preserve the downtown's history while taking the opportunity to reshape and grow an inclusive and stronger downtown. The 4 projects that we are announcing today represent more than $528 million total in investments. Together, they will create more than 1,000 new housing units and 300 affordable units within the underutilized office buildings. In addition to affordable housing, we look forward to developing a new hotel, activating empty retail spaces, and supporting an improved public plaza. I'm proud to advance these projects under my administration. And of course, we have to continue to make sure that the Community Development Commission and the Landmarks Commission this spring to highlight and lift up their work to realize the potential and promise of these projects. And DPD Commissioner Boatwright and DOH Commissioner Castaneda will go into greater detail about the projects shortly. But I'll tell you this, these 4 projects demonstrate our shared commitment to revitalizing downtown and creating affordable housing in every single neighborhood. I will also tell you that there may be more adaptive reuse proposals to come, because we're still working to make sure that opportunities for the people of Chicago are full. So stay tuned. You'll likely have heard me say this before, that Chicago truly is the greatest city in the world. I say it because it's true. In what other city do you hear the words downtown and affordability? We are a special city because we have a downtown Central Business District that can handle what it is doing today. We are fiercely committed to ensuring that everyone can equitably reap the full benefits of this amazing city. Today's announcement is one part of a comprehensive approach to fostering a downtown environment where people can work, live, and play. And this spring, we are also looking forward to launching a Downtown Economic Growth Advisory Committee who will be focused on driving inclusive growth, transformation, and of course, prosperity for our downtown. And through our commitment, we are planning adaptive reuse projects, small business support, redesigning the public realm, and so much more. In addition to these investments, and with the help of State Representative Cam Buckner and Senator Sarah Feigenholtz and other key community partners, we are on the verge of being able to introduce Business Improvement Districts, or BIDs, to Chicago. The city will continue to work in partnership with the community partners, businesses, and other stakeholders across all of the work to make sure that downtown from every single angle of downtown becomes a thriving neighborhood. So I want to thank all the city leaders and partners who are supporting the transformation for our neighborhoods. I really do look forward to seeing all of the new adaptive reuse projects that are coming to life for a better, stronger, safer Chicago. What we have been able to accomplish in less than a year, it certainly gives me excitement for the next 23 years that I'll serve as mayor. And so with that, it is now my pleasure to bring to the stage our DPD Commissioner, Commissioner Boatwright. Thank you very much.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Thank you for helping to celebrate today's announcement and one of the largest adaptive reuse efforts to move forward within any central business district in the United States. We have 4 great projects advancing toward City Council, and I want to provide a little bit of more information about each project and how they'll fulfill the goals of the invitation for proposals that initiated this process. The projects will collectively repurpose about 40 floors of vacant and underutilized space in the heart of the Loop, contributing to a dynamic mix of upper story uses that will also resonate at ground level within the public realm, at local stores and restaurants, and on downtown trains and buses. Most importantly, it will resonate within the homes of more than 300 households that will be able to live within the corridors at rents they can afford. Thanks to approximately $150 million in tax increment financing that will support the conversions from vacant commercial space, roughly totaling 1.3 million square feet. We are certain from careful underwriting that this investment in affordability is viable, sustainable, and essential to the Loop's mixed-use, mixed-income future for all Chicagoans, especially given the total absence of affordable housing within the corridor, at least not for long. Here are the projects that are making the vision real. If you take a look to the right and the left on the screen, I'll go into more detail for each of the proposals. The first project is at 111 West Monroe, where Prime Group and Capri Investors is planning a 600,000 square foot makeover of the historic Harris Trust and Savings Complex. It's a $203 million project that will create 345 studio, 1 and 2 bedroom units, including 105 units that will be rented at affordable levels. A planned city landmark designation will also make the project eligible for a property tax incentive that would also support a planned 228-key hotel within the complex, as well as new retail spaces at the ground level. The next project involves another historic bank building, right here at 208 South LaSalle. This is another Prime Group project that will repurpose 4 floors as 226 studio, 1 and 2 bedroom apartments, with 68 units offered at affordable levels. The residential component will be a terrific complement to the hotel that's already operating upstairs. Next is the northernmost project currently planned for the corridor. It's at 30 North LaSalle, where Gallup and American General Life Insurance are repurposing about 432,000 square feet of space as 349 studio, 1 and 2 bedroom apartments. 105 of the units will be offered at affordable levels. It will also include a public plaza makeover directly across the intersection from the planned Google headquarters at the former Thompson Center. I should mention that each of these 3 projects are represented by experienced, diverse, and capable development teams that are committed to local investment. And so is our final project, which is part of an ever-growing portfolio of downtown properties owned by the Campari Group. It's at 79 West Monroe Street, which is also known as the Bell Federal Building. This project wasn't part of last year's initial selection due to timing issues, but it was more recently added when it was clear that sufficient funding would be available. The work will repurpose 8 floors of the building as 117 residences, 41 of which will be affordable. A landmark designation is also planned, with restoration work to include the iconic Weather Bell sign on the corner of Clark and Monroe. These 4 buildings are sure to become a poster child, or poster children, if you will, for the Loop's rebirth as a mixed-use neighborhood, and we are thrilled to be partnering with each team. I should also acknowledge that there is more to come as the city continues to study adaptive reuse proposals for historic buildings at 135 South LaSalle Street and 105 West Adams Street. Additional small business grants to help reactivate vacant storefronts, and a public visioning process for future streetscape enhancements. I want to thank each of the development teams for their commitment to the Loop, also the Chicago Central Area Committee and Urban Land Institute for their help in planning the downtown recovery, and the underwriting team and DPD, DOH, for ensuring that these projects are right-sized and viable as we work under Mayor Johnson to reinvent the Loop's legacy as the heart of the city. Thanks so much. And now more from Commissioner Castaneda on the affordability of the unit.
Thank you, Commissioner Boatwright, for the introduction. Hello, my fellow Chicagoans. It is an honor to stand with all of you today, as well as with Mayor Johnson, for this significant announcement. Today is a very exciting day, particularly for those who have long dreamed of calling this historic financial district home, but thought that day could never come because of the lack of housing options and affordability. I am thrilled to stand before you to announce our progress on this initiative that not only preserves our city's rich architectural heritage, but also addresses one of our most pressing needs, affordable housing. In the wake of the unprecedented challenges brought forth by the pandemic, society has undergone a profound shift in the way we perceive and utilize office space. The traditional landscape of bustling commercial hubs has evolved, giving rise to new opportunities for adaptive reuse projects. As we witness this transformation, it becomes abundantly clear that our fundamental need for a place to call home remains steadfast, if not more critical than ever. The 4 adaptive reuse projects within the Loop's historic financial district symbolize more than just an architectural revitalization. They represent the calling of sustainability, innovation, and progression, calling spoken by the individuals and families who aspire to live and thrive in the heart of our downtown, and heard by Mayor Johnson. With a total of 319 housing units, affordable housing units, these developments embody our commitment to ensuring that affordable housing is available in all 77 community areas. Housing is only affordable when it costs you 30% or less of your income. Some people cannot reach that benchmark without some help. The affordable units in these projects will be for households with an average income of 60% of the area median income. The main way that we get affordable housing in a high amenity area like this one is through the Affordable Requirements Ordinance. To date, there are only 32 completed ARO units in the Loop. With the additional more than 300 affordable units through this initiative, we will have a nearly 1,000% increase in the total affordability of units in this community area. We believe that those that need a subsidy to live affordably deserve to have just as many choices of where to live as those who don't. And today we are one step closer to that reality. Steps like this are what help us transform Chicago into the more equitable city we all want it to be. Thank you. And please welcome Quentin Primo from Capri Investment Group to the mic.
Thank you, Commissioner, and thank you, Mayor. Where are you? There you are. For your remarks and your support of the LaSalle Street Reimagine Initiative, which is such an important initiative for the city. both in terms of economic revitalization as well as social inclusion, both of which are equally important. I've mentioned to the mayor many times and a senior team here before us that Google as a key anchor in the LaSalle Street corridor is certainly a great start to catalyzing the area. However, to thoroughly invigorate the Central Loop and specifically the LaSalle Street Historic District, creative and impactful public policy is needed in parallel. LaSalle Street Reimagined is just that, a groundbreaking public initiative that will supercharge this area. Along with my partners and Mike Reschke at Prime Group, we are so pleased to be a part of this historic event. Thank you. And I'd like to introduce Jeannie Kastrup, President of SEIU. Thank you very much.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. My name is Jeannie Kastrup. I'm the president of SEIU Local 1. So SEIU Local 1 is one of the most diverse unions in the city. We represent over 50,000 working people, janitors, security officers, window washers, door staff, maintenance workers, and engineers. Throughout downtown, we are the backbone of the commercial and real estate industry. Literally, we keep the doors open, we keep them clean, we keep them safe, and we keep them running. As we reimagine downtown Chicago in a post-COVID economy, I want to commend Mayor Johnson and his administration. Maybe one day I'll make it to the left side where all the women are. Just saying. I want to commend him for investing in the core of downtown. Whether you're here from the business community, the hospitality industry, tourism, an elected official, or from a union like me, I think we all can admit that we are tied together in the success of our downtown. It impacts because you see, what happens downtown doesn't just impact downtown, it also impacts all of our neighborhoods. SEIU Local 1 and its members share a vision of a reimagined downtown, where downtown is thriving, businesses are thriving, but good-paying jobs like those our members, Local 1 members, continue to exist. And downtown is a place that everyone can enjoy. This project is significant. My union is over 100 years old, and it is the first time in the history of our city where a janitor who works in a commercial office building who gets done usually at 12:30 or 1 o'clock at night may be able to walk across the street to their home instead of commuting an hour. This is building a downtown and investing in a downtown that not just works for some of us, but works for all of us. It is a forward-thinking project that paints a picture of a downtown where everyone, businesses, hospitality, tourism, and workers are not only surviving, but thriving. Local 1 proudly supports this project, Mayor, and we will do anything we can to make sure that it succeeds, and we look forward to the positive progress and the impact that it will have on a reimagined downtown Chicago. Thank you. I forgot my next thing. Now I'd like to introduce Brian Gurish from Roanoke Hospitality.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. So I'm the CEO of Roanoke Hospitality. We own and operate restaurants here in the Loop and other places, but primarily here in the Loop. And we're probably most well-known for the Roanoke restaurant over in the Marriott Residence Inn. We've been there for about 8-9 years now. We came to this area with Mike Reschke's vision about creating new and exciting places to be. And in those days, we felt like the market was, for sure the area was changing, but as we looked at the market and what was going on in the neighborhood, We realize that this is absolutely a beautiful neighborhood that's in transition. I'll bring a little bit of perspective. I consider myself a native of Chicago, but born and raised in Minneapolis. I come from a third-generation architectural family, and I remember my father bringing us here, the family, when we were 10 years old, and we walked up and down the LaSalle corridor, and he told me ad nauseum the history of Burnham's and the Sullivans and the Frank Lloyd Wrights. And from an outsider and now an insider in Chicago, this is truly not just an area that's really the heart of and history of Chicago, but it's a worldwide class of monuments and buildings like nowhere else almost. And Mike mentioned New York, and I think there's areas in New York, but not a collection like this. So for us to be here and to establish a hospitality business and to be looking at the future after coming out of the pandemic, where we were down to literally 5 employees at the Roanoke restaurant. We could not let anybody into the restaurants. Our catering director was cooking on a Weber grill on the patio and selling hamburgers and hot dogs. And today, we're over 110 employees in the area again, and we're excited to be back. I hope you all go up to the Grill in 21 and see that up there. It's fantastic. So I believe, as everybody does, as the mayor and the aldermen and in the neighborhood, and it's revitalization and things like that. But what we do need is housing for our staff. And our staff, my staff is 110 hardworking, honest people that do get up at 4:30 in the morning to make sure the eggs are cracked, and they lock the doors at 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning. And it would really help with the revitalization of the area to be able to have housing for them here. It'll attract a whole new workforce and help the revitalization. So I thank the alderman, Riley in particular, who's been very supportive of us throughout the years, but the mayor and the administration, it's meant a lot to us, and we're just happy as can be to see the continued growth here. Thank you.
And that concludes our formal program. Thank you all so much for joining us today. But before we wrap, I would like to acknowledge our city staff that has worked tirelessly for months to get us to this point, and so would like to acknowledge them with a round of applause. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a good day. Here? We're doing the Q&A here? First. Oh, okay.
Hey everybody, we're gonna do Q&A here, and then we're gonna do a pull aside immediately after. So for members of the press who have on-topic questions, please flag me down. We're gonna start with Sun Times.
Hey, if somebody can explain 79 West Monroe is the one project that wasn't shortlisted by the Lightfoot administration. If somebody can explain how that came to be.
Sure.
And what it adds to the overall project, I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Excuse us all just for a second. We're taking some Q&A right here, so if we can just ask these conversations to just be taken to the side or just hold for a moment. Thank you. Commissioner Boatwright.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, so a follow-up to your question regarding 79 West Monroe. You're right. 79 West Monroe was not part of the original proposals received last year. They weren't submitted due to timing issues, as stated in my earlier remarks, but it was included later once we recognized that we have funding available. This is a development team that's committed to Chicago, and they've been rather bullish about investment in Chicago. Over $167 million invested in Chicago over the last 16 months. And so we recognize the importance of really supporting development partners that recognize the value of deep investment, are committed to bringing housing, and are committed to providing a deep level of affordability within the housing in these developments.
And I'm Craig Dellamore with WBBM Radio, and this is for the mayor or anyone else who wants to answer this. With this much real estate involved and this kind of attraction of development downtown, how do you think the possibility of a Bring Chicago Home ordinance where there's more of a tax when it comes to sales of high-end properties like this, how could that affect the future of this kind of development, or would it affect it?
Thank you for the question. Look, I think the whole point of today and all of our efforts, whether it's Bring Chicago Home or reimagining and repurposing historic buildings, is to address the fact that we have not just a homeless crisis in Chicago and throughout the country, but we have an affordability crisis. So you have individuals who, as President Kastrup articulated, many of these individuals are stretching their ends to make them meet. And so this is just a part of a larger strategy that we have as a city to ensure that the people of Chicago who work here, who live here, can afford to stay here. As far as the efforts that, we get to do long-term, there is a real estate transfer tax. It does exist. So this is not like a new tax, right? The question whether or not, the real estate transfer tax could be restructured, well, that has already been debated. But I'm very confident because we have, keen developers like Quentin and others who recognize that there is an imbalance in this country. There is. The gap between those who have and those who do not, that continues to widen. I believe we're a better city than that. So much so, I just want the record to reflect, though, that Brian is the most neutral person up here from Minneapolis, and he voted for Chicago over New York. So where did he go? He made his vote and he ran, but it's too late now. So I hope that answers your question, Greg. All right.
Hi, Mayor. Stay up there if you'd be so kind. Craig Wall with ABC7 over here to your right. Good morning.
Good morning.
As we look ahead to this, obviously this has to go through City Council, but what is your hope for how soon this can actually become a reality?
Yeah, we have a very aggressive timeline. Commissioner Boatwright?
Thank you, Mayor. So we're moving, and we're excited to work with the four that we just announced today. The four are slated to go through, obviously, landmarks and city council approvals as appropriate. We are slated to start to lease up these units at the end of 2026 and early 2027. And so there's a commitment for us to move fast because we recognize the importance of us bringing these necessary households downtown and creating new affordable units. And so we are fired up and excited to get going on these projects. And also excited to continue to work with the other two proposals that we mentioned and move them along just as quickly.
Just a few comments. One, with respect to the last question, Mike and I are committed and in process of starting construction on the redevelopment of 111 West Monroe this year, before year end. So the bond inducement will proceed forward, and assuming City Council approves everything, we will start this year and deliver within 2 years, so in 2026. The previous question, with respect to the transfer tax, I just want to make sure, the BBM asked, I just want to make sure that we clearly understand that, as the mayor pointed out, there is a transfer tax. It already exists, and in every major urban market in the country, a transfer tax exists. The beautiful thing about Chicago is that we're at 75 basis points, or 0.75%. LA is at 5.9%. San Francisco is at 5.5%. Philadelphia and New York are nearly 6%. So the mayor's proposal in Bring Chicago Home to increase it to 3%, we're still significantly under our major competitive markets across the country. And I believe that if we want to solve a problem like homelessness, which is something that my wife and I have dedicated ourselves to, you got to pay for it. And we have to keep it in our backyard, not pushed away from backyard. So if we want to have a homeless situation in Chicago that's better than San Francisco or better than what you see in LA, we got to invest in it. We got to solve it, and that takes money.
Hi, Melody Mercado with Black Club Chicago. What kind of city resources were made available to the applicants? There are a lot of soft costs associated with keeping up with the momentum for this initiative over the past year. So just curious what was made available during this process.
So pre-development support, these are big projects that are making a big impact in the city. And so the DOH team and the DPD team has worked closely with other consultants and partners on the underwriting to move these projects forward and right-size these projects. From a city financial standpoint, we're committing TIF to these projects. These are transformational projects, and we recognize the importance of investing city subsidy to move these projects forward. It's also important to recognize while we're investing city subsidy, these developers are coming to the table with real equity, really diverse capital stacks. And so in addition to us doing our due diligence and working as a team and working with consultants to move these projects along, we're also investing in the projects deeply.
To follow up on that, in addition to the TIFs, will there be additional public subsidies these projects are going to be seeking or going to be receiving from the city? And will they be financed at all through the $1.25 billion bond plan that's moving through the city council?
All right. So there are additional city resources like the 4% tax credits that will help get at the affordability and making sure that we are able to, again, get these 319 units and have that incredible increase that we're going to have for the ARO units. There is no intersection or impact from this project, from these projects on the Housing and Economic Development Bond. If approved, the bond program will rely on funds from the city, and these are things that we've already got in place. The bond is still moving through council. These are already resources that are available and have been available through this whole underwriting process that we've undergone for these projects.
Hi, Danny Ecker from Cranes. This is for anyone up there, I think, but how do you guys think about this particular initiative in terms of the scope of priorities of where to devote public resources to help revitalize downtown? Obviously, there are different ways we could be spending TIF money, other resources, focusing efforts. Why is this particular initiative such a top priority, especially when we talk about the amount of TIF money we're dedicating?
Thank you for that question. It's about affordability and inclusivity. The priority is the city of Chicago. Look, I get the frame of the question, but we've already articulated that wherever we invest in the city of Chicago, it's an investment for everyone. We know that the impact that this particular corridor has throughout the city of Chicago and suburbs. So it's not a matter of looking at one space over the other. It's looking at all of it, but recognizing that what we're doing right here in this particular part of the city has a reverberating impact on the rest of the city. Thank you.
Last question. Hi, good morning. Miranda Davis, Bloomberg News. I want to talk about 105 West Adams. I think that was the project that had the highest percentage of affordability as far as housing goes. Can you speak to why that was left off of today's announcement?
Sure. So there's actually two projects that will have future announcements. They're still in underwriting, and we're committed to work with the development teams to move those projects through the process. I mentioned in the speech that we're confident about the impact that all the proposals will bring to the loop, and those two are no different. We want to make sure that we continue to do our due diligence and work with the development teams to announce them at the appropriate time. So announcement soon to follow, but we're committed to those development teams and committed to bringing more households and more affordability through those two additional projects.
Thanks all. Poll side will be immediately after.